All right, here we go. I'm going on another ride here. We're going to have another engineering conversation. Let's talk some more about safety. What am I putting on here right here? Safety belt. So, first things first. Safety is the most important thing we'll ever talk about in here. And what I mean in here, my class, my YouTube channel, my private classes, tutoring sessions, safety. All right, we're going to pull out here. Got my seatbelt on. All right, let's talk for a second about the physics behind a seatbelt. Acceleration, deceleration. That's what this has to do with. When you do not have a seatbelt on and you get into a front-end collision, you go through the windshield. That is an example of one of Newton's 3 laws. Things in motion tend to stay in motion. Things at rest tend to stay at rest. Well, when you hit something, the car stops, but you don't. So that's why you go through the windshield. Second thing that happens, that's the first acceleration. The second acceleration is actually a negative acceleration when a person hits the windshield. So this is how acceleration works. The quicker you go from 0 to 60, or from 60 to 0 in this case, the harder it is on your body. There's more energy, it's called. So when you go from 60 miles an hour and hit the windshield and go down to 0 miles per hour in 1 second, that's worse than doing the same speed, 60 miles an hour down to 0 after you hit the windshield, and having it take 3 seconds instead of 1 second. So what that difference in time does, it allows your body to adjust and react to this new stress that's on it. So that's called acceleration. So it's decreasing the acceleration by increasing the amount of time. So what a seatbelt does, it acts like a spring. So when you get into a front end collision, the first thing your body hits is this thing. And it's going to stretch a little bit, and that stretching slows you down slower. So we'll talk about what that means, but instead of going from 60 miles an hour down to 0 in 1 second, the seatbelt makes it happen in 3 seconds. And the mechanism through what it does is this nylon stretches. So that's what these seatbelts are made out of. It's a nylon paracord basically weaved into a belt. So if you ever had parachute pants or anything, this is the same stuff. It's plastic. They used to make them out of leather, which, as you guys probably know, that's, well, these days is not totally true, but leather is tanned animal skins, like cows and sheep. But these days you have synthetic leather that's just as good, and that's actually more in style now. I happen to have an old leather coat from like 30 years ago, and I kind of never wear it anymore. I'm a little guilty about it. So safety, deceleration, acceleration. So safety is a topic that literally hits every engineering topic we'll take. And here's the reason why. Safety is the thing that keeps us going home to our families at night. So we all come to school. I come to work. I come to this school for work. I've been to school in other places before. I've lived in other places. I've worked in lots of places. The number one goal the employer has is sending you home after your shift is over. And what I mean by that is, it is their obligation, the company's obligation, to provide a safe work environment. There's laws, actually, tons of federal laws and state laws that back this up. But more than that, if you've ever had somebody die on your watch, which I've had happen before at a plant, you will know that this is the most important thing, more than money, more than making, getting a bunch of flashy stuff, way more than that. And especially when you're a manager of people or a teacher in charge of, say, a classroom full of high school kids, my number one job is to make sure you are safe. So, and safety means going home in generally the same shape you showed up in. So, cuts aren't necessarily bad unless we were horsing around doing it. So we don't have the shop like we used to, so there's going to be a little bit less safety issues coming up. But yeah, that's our intro to safety.